Hello, I'm the Squeaky Moose, and I have another deck list for the Beelzemon Cup. I had to make 2 decks so that I could have one for my friend to play as well, and I decided to make him a really aggro deck, and I think that this is going to be sick to play. I've play tested it a fair bit, and it seems really consistent, so let's get into it. Titanmon's going to be our boss monster for the deck, but in reality, this plays more like a deck that has Ogremon as the boss monster, because we're running very low to the ground. This is kind of an homage to discard aggro back in the day, so we're going to try and see how this goes with a bit of a new list that gives you a bit of flexibility in how you play. So let's see how it goes. So for our eggs, we are running 4 of the BT6 Titanmon and 1 of the BT9 Pugumon. And I think this is great. Titanmon's going to be able to get you some draw, and the Pugumon is going to be able to beef up your mons when you're trying to swing, maybe even swinging over some 5s depending on what your stack looks like. Starting with one of the most aggressive things in the deck is a 2-drop. I don't think that we see a lot of 2-drops in purple anymore. I think that Candlemon works really well for this deck because you can choke your opponent to 1. And I also think that it's really good because you're getting another body on board for really cheap and synergizing with even things like Ginkaku Promote, and just being able to set up a second turn where you've got a body on board to be able to use with things like Demonic Disaster. We'll talk about that in a sec. Then we're running 4 of the starter Gabumon. This has the inheritable, when attacking, trigger draw 1, then trash 1 card from your hand. This is great, synergizes with Nidhogg, synergizes with one of our level 5s that we'll talk about, and I think that it's better than the on deletion Gabumon, just because it means that you're going to be consistently getting it when you're attacking, even if you don't get deleted. So I think this is just very beneficial to have, and we've got a few different ways that we can still get on deletion effects with like Eismon. Then we have 4 Goblimon. Wouldn't be a Titamon deck without this boy. So his inheritable is just going to be able to beef up the DP whenever you're swinging with something. Make sure that you can swing over things. I think that we have a lot of decks that will be able to have high DP Digimon, like Beelzemon Blast Mode. So being able to make sure that you're above that is going to be very beneficial. Then 2 tech cards. We're running 1 Psychmon and 1 Guzimon. This is just generally to end a turn because, hey, we didn't finish them off. Let's make sure they can't gain memory. Hey, we didn't finish them off. Let's make sure they can't reduce play costs. So this will just benefit when you don't necessarily finish your opponent when you want to. And if you don't need them, you can just trash them and keep going. You'll generally see them in a game because of how much you draw and trash with this deck. Starting with a level 4 tech, we're running 1 Vilemon. This is just because, hey, we didn't finish. Let's make sure that we've got a blocker so that we can survive 1 turn to make sure we can deal a finishing blow. So this is just a good little tech to have. And then we're running the Eismon package. So 1 of the regular Eismon and then 4 of the Eismon scatter mode. This is really good. It's always been good. If you could run more of the regular Eismon, you would, but obviously it got limited for the exact reason that we saw, which is it is too strong. Being able to swing and then draw 3 and trash 2 if it gets deleted is going to often see you with having this Eismon onto the board because you've got other effects that are helping you draw and trash and do extra things. So you'll see this happen more often than not. Then we've got 2 Ginkaku Promote, and this is a bit of a finisher. If you can manage to play something out and then give it rush just by digivolving on top of it, fantastic. Works with Titamon, works with Night Raid, and also with the Candlemon. Lots of good ways to utilize this card. Only need to run 2 of them because consistently you'll be able to have 1 in hand or have 1 in trash, and you'll be able to decide what you want to do. So it takes a bit of skill and finesse to know when to keep it, when to toss it. Then the strength of the deck, Ogremon, very early aggression, being able to go for 2 checks and maybe even using Demonic Disaster to unsuspend and swing again, trashing a card because it's not once per turn. You can then do another 3 checks in 1 turn, which is nuts. So this is a super good card. It is honestly where the deck shines, but if this doesn't win you the game, then you start thinking about how you're going to build into the stack for Titamon, and that's going to win the game generally. Then we run Black War Growlmon. The Digiburst is super good, being able to get another level 3 out for the Titamon plays, and also you have the Inheritable, which is when attacking once per turn, delete one of your other Digimon to unsuspend this Digimon. So that means that with Titamon, you're going to be able to swing twice generally because you've just Digiburst out a Digimon to be able to use. So very good card. I think that running this is the obvious choice for the deck. I don't know if you'd run anything else except for Orochimon. Orochimon is super underrated because when you trash it from your hand using one of your effects, you get to draw one. This just thins the deck by one, essentially, because you will make your deck way more consistent by always just trashing one and then drawing it back. You can even use the Inheritable to get the memory, which has been useful and I've been playtesting. You don't always use it, but if you need a level 5, this is definitely not a bad choice. Off the back of that as well, we're running 4 of the BT7 Nidhogg, which means that you can trash it and gain a memory. This just extends your plays. It means that you're keeping it your turn for longer, more often. And even when you Digivolve into it, you can trash one card in hand to delete one of your opponent's Digimon to like make sure you get rid of one of their memory blockers or something and make sure that you can get his effect off. And that's why we're running it at 4, because it's so good and so consistently good. Here is the boss monster Titamon. So like I said, if Ogremon doesn't get the job done, Titamon will. So you have the when Digivolving, trash one card in your hand, then you may play one purple level 4 or lower Digimon from your trash without paying its memory cost. So you can play Ginkaku Promote and have a Rusher out, or you can play something else if you don't have that and be able to make sure that you can delete it maybe for the Eismon effect or whatever else you want to do. But if you manage to trash an Eismon, then it's only going to cost 3 to Digivolve, so you can pretty often do this and keep it your turn. It also has your turn once per turn. When you trash a card in your hand using one of your effects, this Digimon gets plus 2000 DP and plus 1 security attack for the turn. So you're going to be able to swing for 14,000 at least once, and then if you have Black War Growlmon underneath, be able to unsuspend, do it again. So that's going to be 4 checks in a turn, and if you've been putting on the aggression early on, that's going to be enough to finish the game. We're also running some memory tamers because you want 3 memory on your turn every turn. I think most decks do, so it's good to have. You could run Matt. Sometimes it's not beneficial because you play Matt and then you've got to think about, oh, what am I going to put back in my hand? You can just have Iron Marco out, never use its trashing effect, and just have that 3 memory. And I've been talking about it, but onto our options, we've got Demonic Disaster. So main, you may delete one of your Digimon, not your opponent's Digimon, to unsuspend one of your purple Digimon. And from security, you can play a level 3 without paying its cost, and any on-play effects don't trigger. But it's not for that effect. That can be good, can be super gas if you see it in security, play out a level 3 and just keep going. But generally you're looking for this, be able to Demonic Disaster, like play a Candamon, Demonic Disaster, unsuspend your Ogremon and swing again, getting that deletion and getting those extra checks. But it's definitely only a 2 of. I wouldn't put more than that in this format of the deck. We also use Night Raid because this is going to be able to get back your level 3s, and I think when you're trashing a lot and you start running out of your level 3s, you can have this, pay it for 2, get a 3 cost back. So rather than paying 3 to get your level 3 out, you're only paying 2 to do it. So this just helps with that kind of like aggression as well. You can pass the turn choking at 1 because it's such a low cost after you've done the other stuff on your turn that you wanted to do. The last option we're running is 3 of the purple memory boost. You could run this for other memory boosts, like the Mist memory boost or Glaive memory boost, but I think that purple memory boost just helps you find something if you're really missing it. The other option, which I think might be the better option, is to run Jack Raid. You do get a lot of cards in your trash, so it can be really good to have that Jack Raid and just bump your memory up. But I think that the purple memory boost, you see it in security, that just means that you're going to have 2 memory on your turn. You don't need to worry about what's in your trash or making sure that there's enough in trash. It's just going to be sitting on your board ready to go. And I think that's why I chose this, is because it feels more consistently good to have on board rather than being like, oh, I'm going to Jack Raid for 1. It's like, oh, I'm always going to be able to at least get 2 memory off of this. But that is the deck, and I think that it is very consistent, speaks for itself. I think that you're going to have a lot of fun with this. If you needed a last minute deck It's very, very easy to set up because a lot of cards are common or just staples that you're going to have lying around anyway. And some of the few other cards might just be easy to make sure that you've got from other people. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like the video by giving us a like and subscribe for more. We'll see you next time.